Hello, welcome back to the show with Leadership with Darrell W. Gunter on WSOU 89.5 FM and streaming on the net at WSOU.net. Well, I'm so pleased to have one of our budding entrepreneurs in the Philadelphia area, Mr. Joshua Black. He's the founder of FlatBelly Veg. And let me tell you, I have personally tasted the food and it is awesome. Joshua, welcome to the program, and thank you for interrupting your very busy day to tell us about your great restaurant, FlatBelly Veg, and also the future restaurant that you're planning to open. Welcome
Sure.
to
Well,
the
thank
program.
you for having me. I'm super excited to have this conversation. I can't wait to see where it leads. But once again, thanks for having me. It's an honor to just sit down and talk.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So, if you can share with our audience highlights of your background, your entrepreneurial background, education, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I'll give the this sped up version. So
Take your time.
I've
We have
been
30 minutes.
first. I'd like to lead with a family. I've been married for 27 years. Um, I've been married for 27 years. We have children, and from that, my wife has stuck with me. I've been an entrepreneur since the very beginning, not the very beginning of the marriage, but the very beginning of kind of existence, so to speak. At a very young age, my background is art and design, graphic design. I've always either owned my own business, freelance. I've owned everything from dry cleaners to beauty supply, and that started very young. Mobile DJing and when I was 15, 16. So everything has been entrepreneurial driven from the very beginning. And that has continued on to where I am now. And all those experiences from those early entrepreneurial ventures have gained me the knowledge along with the education, along with and perseverance to straddle any hurdle, obstacle, pothole that comes my way. There's very little that I have not experienced. I like to call it the beautiful struggle because it is a struggle. Being underfunded from the very beginning and even till now. But I think my background as far as being a creative have given me have led the way to kind of overcome a lot of obstacles in a creative way. If it's creative is in finances, if it's creative in marketing, design, my creative background, I think kind of like Pat is the engine that powers it all.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And so, as you know, when we first met, my son-in-law had recommended your restaurant to me. So I have a good friend, Donald Lyons. We serve on a couple boards together, and we came there for lunch. And you were his
Yes.
photographer some years ago.
Yes. Oh, I forgot about that. I've owned a design studio. I've done photography. Um, I've done it, I've done a lot. Sometimes when I sit down with times like this to think back, I'm almost amazed that I'm talking about myself because of some of the things and experiences I've had being an entrepreneur and a creative first. Um, it kind of like it's like, oh yeah, you did do that. And so there's some things I may even forget that my wife always says that was a pretty significant thing you had done that at that time, but I just count it all as just one
But
big experience.
I think that this is an awesome message for the entrepreneurs who are young in age, for them to understand that there are no bad experiences. They're
No,
all great experiences that allow you to elevate and grow. So, what led you to create Flat Belly Veg?
um, well, actually, I would say I've been eating this way and living this way for 14 years. So at that point, I was sick, diabetic, dealing with a lot of health issues. I was on that same, I was on the path that many black men are on. neglecting their health, um, onset diabetes, and then all the stuff that comes with it. Until one day, I just said that, yeah, I'm done with that. I don't want to live this way. I was only 40 years old, and I said, I can't do it anymore. And I figured out, I guess, reading, I found out like, oh, by putting certain things in my body could actually change my body, change the way my body operates. Looking at my body as this machine that if I fuel it properly, I would get the best out of the machine. Understanding that at the time I'm putting low grade gas into it and I'm getting poor results. So maybe if I put more high octane fuel in my body, it will respond differently. And that's what happened. So gradually, I was losing weight. I was starting to become so fit. I had more energy than I knew what to do with, which led me in a direction of health and fitness. With that change of lifestyle, knowing or feeling as though I have found like this, I had unlocked this secret that no one else kind of knew about or people was ignoring. And I said, well, what can I do to share this? Because this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. I was off medication and it just became like a mission without saying like I'm on a mission or, oh, I'm vegan. I didn't know what it was, but I knew that the more vegetables I ate, the better I felt. And then one day, walking down the street, one of the senators, state senators, was having a quote unquote health fair. And with a little bit of understanding and knowledge and experience, I couldn't understand why they were at the health fair giving away tasty cakes,
Ooh,
hoagies, and
ooh,
potato chips
ooh.
and pretzel and heavily salted pretzels to a community that I lived in that was suffering from diabetes, high blood pressure. Knowing that these foods contribute to that, I approached the senator. I said, well, what are you doing here? This is, and he couldn't say, well, you're wrong. He said, well, how can you help? I said, I would love to come out here and do a cooking demonstration. I did that. Other people that led to a company hiring me to do cooking demonstrations and food education, how to eat better, and share my personal story to their residents. That led to another thing. And I said, what more can I do? A food truck. So I got the food truck. What more can I do? What more can I do? How can I reach people? And that led to a small stand in a farmer's market. That led to our current space, which is a 525 square foot cafe that's takeout. Now I have no experience in the restaurant business. But I know about the food that I'm serving and basic business ideas. And with a little bit of creativity, with a touch of marketing insight, I said I can make this work. And it's been a blessing that it is actually working. Um, and so that's the long story short on how I got to be right here. But there's so much that went on in between that, from becoming a personal trainer, running triathlons, biking. All of this stuff came when I made the conscious decision to change what I put into my body. And I am now reaping the benefits financially, personally, physically, all because I made the decision to change what I put in my mouth. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Yeah.
That's awesome. And the name FlatBelly Veg, how did you
Right.
come up with the name?
Sure. My wife ultimately came up with the name. So, um, and I knew it has been somewhat not controversial. We've had pushback online from the name. People feeling a little triggered as though I'm only looking for people with flat belly. But it's more or less understanding that belly fat is a leading cause of a lot of the problems that, I'll be real frank, the Black community suffers
Yes.
from
Yes.
the gut, the
Yes.
fat that's just all that fat that's just sitting there, and it has contributed to so much so many problems in our community that I said, you know what, I'm gonna call it FlatBelly for two reasons. One, people get it. People, if you don't have a FlatBelly, the majority of people may not want to be vegan, but everybody wants to be healthy, and they contribute. If wrong or rightly, that having a flat belly is a sign of being in good health. That's not the case, to be honest with you. That's truly not the case. You can be very unhealthy and still have a flat belly because you're suffering from so many diseases just running rampant through your body that your body can't regulate itself and can't hold weight. So there's a lot behind that, but the initial reaction to say, oh, FlatBelly Veg, it must be something healthy. Without me saying, we don't have the word health anywhere. We don't even have the word vegan anywhere. But from a marketing and strategy standpoint,
I love it.
FlatBelly
Yeah.
serves its purpose.
Yep. It's interesting when my son-in-law Win had mentioned the name, and he says, Darrell, it's off of Bethlehem Pike. And
Mm-hmm.
so one day I'm driving and I go, oh yeah, there it is. I said, well, I'll make sure that I stop by. One day I tried to stop by, and I got called to an appointment, so I missed it.
Gotcha. No
But
problem.
but that Saturday that my buddy and I decided to get a bite to eat, and we sat right in there, yet just
Yes.
the table.
Yep. We
It
have a
was
little table, and that was because the customers kept asking, "Is there a table? Can we sit inside?" And we moved the table inside, and now that has become people actually come and they've people have called to try to reserve the table. Said, "No, we don't do that. We're
right,
just a takeout restaurant with a little table. We're not
right.
going to start reserving the table or taking reservations." But yeah, but it's been a very interesting journey.
And so, what would you say was probably one of the top challenges that you had in establishing FlatBelly Veg, and how did you overcome it? I want this to be a case study for the young restaurant entrepreneurs who are thinking about doing what you have achieved.
Right. Well, I've talked to some young entrepreneurs. I don't know if everyone's built to be an entrepreneur, in the sense of I like to call myself a strugglepreneur because I have struggled in so many facets of trying to get a business open. I have no funding. I had no funding. We don't have any loans. We're debt free. There is no small business loan. There's none of that. We opened up with everything in the space being 100% paid for. But that was intentional because years prior, I started buying equipment off of Facebook Marketplace, off of eBay or what have you. I said, I know I need this, I need that. I actually sat and studied why, what do they use? How are they? And the reason I do that is because they use minimal equipment to make maximum profit, meaning that there is no grill in Wawa, there is no deep fryers in Wawa. I said, wait a minute, why don't I use some of what they're doing? There's no grill, there's no deep fryer. They have a freezer and refrigerators. I started buying probably a year prior to getting our food truck. I started buying commercial refrigerators. I started buying commercial prep decks. I started buying POS systems. I started buying the things that's necessary, and I had no space. I had no food truck. But I knew I was going to go in this direction. So once we got the food truck, I had the equipment for the food truck. I just moved it in within a month. We were up and running after all the legal stuff. And then I continued just to buy things that I know I ultimately would need to open a cafe. So once we got the cafe, let me rewind. I drove Uber for a while to buy each and every piece of equipment during the pandemic. Not the pandemic, but during that time when I had my design studio, I would drive Uber on the side so I wouldn't be taking money from the primary business. And this served as a loan, knowing that I didn't need it right then for anything, but I started storing this equipment. So then when we ultimately got into the space, I went into my garage. I rolled out the refrigerators. I rolled out the POS systems. I rolled out the printer. I rolled out everything. All I needed to buy was a huge flat screen TV. That's the only thing I needed to buy. Everything else, we had everything else. I had panini grills, multiple panini grills. I had dishes. I had flatware. I had all of the things that's necessary. So we found this location, rent the location. I built everything, did all the design work myself using my creative background. Did the website. I did the website. All the things. Did all of that, and then we just rolled everything. All the floor mats, all the everything, all the spoons, everything, all the coffee machine, everything was sitting in my garage waiting for the day to find a home. Well, when the home came available, I rolled everything in myself on my truck by myself, hired no one. I
Wow.
designed and put up all the signage, all the awnings, all the everything in this place was had my hand to it. And I don't say that to brag. I say that because of the fact I had no money. It would have been great to hire somebody and say, hey, just build it all out. But that wasn't possible. And I wasn't going to let money be the reason why we didn't open.
Wow.
So we were actually able to open with every single item in the cafe paid for. And all we
Beautiful.
had to do was worry about the rent, but we did not have to worry about paying back any loan to anybody, no credit cards, nothing. It was all paid for.
That's awesome. That is an awesome story.
Mhm.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with Mr. Joshua Black, the founder of FlatBelly Veg. And if you have missed any part of this interview, you can go back early and listen on the podcast because that story about how he got started is an amazing story. And so, how are you seeing this whole plant food industry developing and growing? Is it getting a lot of legs, and you seeing more competitors for
Mhm.
your type of food?
Well, actually, it's just the opposite. I think what had happened, especially during the pandemic and everything, it became extremely popular. Everybody wanted to, oh, I'm going to be not even using the word plant based. Oh, I'm vegan this, vegan that, vegan this. But now it's been a lot of fallout. A lot of restaurants have either changed their concept from being completely vegan, taking the name out of the taking the name out and trying to kind of like cater to people transitioning back to eating regular food, or the fact that the luster has kind of worn off. Um, and now they don't even want to like say, "Oh no, we're vegan. We're flexitarians. We flex back and forth and all this stuff, trying to stay up with
What is that
market trends,
flexitarians?
so they can appeal to everyone." But I I have a different approach. I think of myself not necessarily as a vegan. That's why it doesn't say vegan anywhere except for on the menu once you walk in. But as far as the way we promote and market, we don't use the word vegan because it's a triggering word. It's a word that people hear vegan say, "Oh, I don't eat that," not knowing that it's just vegetables. So I don't use that. My appeal is to those who are looking for healthier options, not necessarily those who are vegan. The majority of our customers are not vegan. They are people who just want to eat healthier or have been advised by their doctors that they need to cut back on things like cholesterol and sodium and saturated fat. Well, wouldn't you know, none of our food has any of that in it. There is no saturated fat because we don't sell animal products. There is no cholesterol, once again, because we don't sell animal products. So those who are seeking a healthier option, they're triggered. They're not triggered because we don't use the word vegan. They're triggered by the fact that, okay, that sounds like a healthier place. That sounds like a healthier option. I'm not necessarily eating vegan. I'm just eating healthy. So it's really playing to the reality of people's perception.
Wow. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And so when you think about it, what misconceptions do people have about plant-based eating, and how does
Mhm.
Belly Veg overcome those?
Oh, sure, sure. So People think, well, okay, if it's vegan, it's going to be a lot of processed foods, things that they see in the market or they see on TV, like the Impossible Burger or Beyond Burger. But we sell none of those things. I don't have a burger on the menu. We don't sell French fries. We don't sell deep fried food. We don't use oil as an ingredient in any of our food. So they're kind of like, okay, like this is not what I expected. I expected to see salads. We don't have a salad on our menu. So they come in and they're kind of taken back. It's okay. They're trying to figure like, is this vegan? We've had people say, well, do you have burgers? No. Do you have French fries? No, we don't sell that either. Those are some of the things that are associated with a lot of vegan restaurants who have tried to be the McDonald's of vegan food. And that's not what we're trying to do whatsoever. So after a quick little education of what we have and a lot of things that they see that are familiar to what they eat normally, they're more open and willing to give it a try. But as far as competition, my competition is places like Wawa, where people want to get a good meal. But what elevates me from Wawa is that people say, well, this is healthier than Wawa, but the prices are we're pretty close to what Wawa prices are, which is surprising to the community here.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so when you think about how you engage with the community to expand their knowledge, which
Mm-hmm.
is another way of marketing, what are some of the things that you do in the flower? Because I believe it's Flower Town, correct?
Right. We're technically in Erdenheim, which
Okay.
is, well, you walk right across the street, you're in Flower Town.
Right,
So
right.
that's why we have three clocks up here. One says Erdenheim, one says Flower Town, another one says Chestnut Hill, because it's really one big
Yes, it is.
neighborhood,
Yep.
pretty much. But what we do, you said what we do to engage the community.
Mhm.
Well, besides using the food truck as basically a big bill, I like to call it an educational mobile, where we can go out to different events that we've been invited to several, and then educate the people and raise their understanding of what vegetables can taste like. Call it vegan, call it vegetarian, call it whatever label you want to put it on. All we're doing is seasoning vegetables and serving it, packaging it, and serving it to you.
Wow.
That's all we're doing. We're not doing anything magical. We're just selling you vegetables at the end of the day. So we do a lot of community engagement with our food truck, but we also have what I like to call community outreach. So we have a group that's called the Kale Blazers, and we take our customers, join us to do things like 5Ks. We've done triathlons with our customers. We've done walking and hiking events with our customers. We do that. So that is like in real life, getting out in the community and engaging the community to understand that, yes, we do this stuff on the plate, but there's a lot of things that we do outside the plate as well. Now, along with that, there's an educational component that we like to call Eat and Educate, where we are participating in workshops, teaching how to make plant-based food. So we have an upcoming event in June at the Chestnut Hill Hotel,
Oh,
where
wow.
we're
Mm.
where we're teaching a class on how to make. We call it the vegan sausage making workshop. So we'll teach people how to make sausage in their own home. So
Wow.
it creates a sense of community. It then creates like these what we like to call ambassadors of the brand to
Mhm.
go out and talk about and spread the good news about what we're doing, not only inside our 500 square foot space, but outside in the community, reaching into Chestnut Hill, Erdenheim, and Flowertown in a way that's probably not typical of any other restaurant or cafe. So we and that's being done on purpose.
Yes, yes, that's beautiful. And so I have to ask, you're very enthusiastic. You work around the clock. What do you and your wife do to relax?
Well, I personally don't, because it just happens that my passion around creativity, my pet, like when I'm not here, I'm going to a cafe and I'm studying that cafe. The
Ah,
way business works is a major thing. Like I just listened to a podcast about Trader Joe, how they became who they are. I'll go sit in a Starbucks just to observe, and not only observe their operations, but observe the type of customers that are coming in, observe the type of cars that are in the parking lot, observe where these cars are coming from. Are they all local? So it's a lot of observation, and it's a lot of note taking, and it's a lot of studying. So when I talk education, I like to talk education around business, about a continuing education, continuing to understand how business works. That, I believe, besides just trying to serve good food, is what's going to sustain us, what's going to give us an opportunity to be ready for upcoming trends and ready to move into the future and ready to compete. But you have to know not only your business, but you have to know business, other industries, other types of companies. What are they doing? What are they the matrix that they are measuring to make them successful? If I can apply a little bit of that, if I got to take a little bit of what I hate to say Target, but a little bit of what some of these giant retailers are
Sure.
doing, and
Absolutely.
then implement some of those strategies, that would help me. You have to read. Reading is not something going out of style. You have to take the time to read about leaders, read about some of these, like I said, leaders of industry. Understand, how do they think? What do they do? What moves are they making? I can't make billion-dollar moves, but I can take a little morsel of what they're doing, plant it into what I'm doing, and let it grow from there.
Beautiful. Now, in our closing minutes, this has been a phenomenal interview. Thank you. Let's talk about your next restaurant.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So we're looking to open up another restaurant. There's so many different ways we can go. So sometimes with restaurateurs, which I guess I am, your ego can kind of get in the way, and like thinking that opening physical buildings is the thing that you want to do. That's not necessarily always a good strategy. So what I'm trying to understand, I will open up another place, is but when does that need to happen? Do I need to plant food trucks in different areas? Do I need to stay in Montgomery County and serve a particular type of community? Should I move to Philadelphia, which has a different type of energy than the county? I need to be very strategic. So strategy is something that I'm trying to understand better myself in studying. There's an author that I follow. His name is Seth Godin. He has a new book called This is Strategy. And I'm
Mhm.
trying to understand what is strategy opposed to tactics. And then another brother that I'm reading, his name is Dr. Marcus Collins, um, a PhD from Temple, actually. He's a professor at Michigan, came out with a book that has changed my perspective on marketing, called For the Culture, and how the culture dictates behavior, and understanding the behaviors of particular cultures. If you can understand that and implant yourself into that culture because you have a firm understanding of that culture, you are a better marketer to them, providing the products and services that that culture yearns for. So just to say I'm going to go to Philadelphia without understanding that culture could be a problematic. But understanding this culture and what this culture likes and wants and the needs, which I have come to understand, that might not transfer to an urban setting within Philadelphia. So these are a lot of things, opposed to let me find a space, if the rent is okay, let me move in, that I like to take into consideration before making a move.
Wow.
But
Well, if we have 1 minute left, any
oh,
last?
okay. I'm sorry. I know I get a little
Oh,
excited when I
no,
talk
no,
about
no.
this.
You're perfect. Any last words for an aspiring entrepreneur?
Right. I know you said on the form you sent me over, you said something about leadership, and I think this is a must for those who are trying to be leaders, especially entrepreneurs slash leaders, is to have a certain level of empathy. I think a leader with empathy for those that they lead is vital. Understanding that people that you lead, and maybe putting yourself in their position, not position, but how they feel or how they perceive things, and not just leading without looking to your left and right and who's behind you and understanding their plight. It has devastating consequences if you just ignore it. I think empathy is something that is not well served and is not embraced as much as it should be for those who are in leadership positions, regardless if you're in a huge company or you just leading two or three people.
Wow, well said. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank our guest, Mr. Joshua Black, who is the founder and owner of FlatBelly Veg. If you're in Montgomery County and the Flourtown area off of Bethlehem Pike, please do step by. Josh, thanks for coming on the program.
Oh, Darrell, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. I didn't talk about my past podcast life that I had hosting my own podcast. So this was great to talk to you and to kind of get back in the swing of things.
Well, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. Well,
You're
that
welcome.
wraps it up this week on Leadership with Darrell W. Gunter on WSOU 89.5 FM. Have a great day, but remember, leadership begins with you.